There are three main things that people try to strive for in life, and that is health, happiness, and wealth. All of these things are very difficult to achieve, which is why it's a lifelong process. However, I do think that wealth is something that can be achieved just through habits and behavior. The main difficulty with this is that a lot of people don't really understand how much they should save, how much they should invest, or how to save and invest to begin with. And a general rule of thumb is to save at least $100,000. It's the toughest to save, but it's also the most important. As Charlie Munger stated, the first 100,000 is but you got to do it. I don't care what you have to do. If it means walking everywhere and not eating anything that wasn't purchased with a coupon, find a way to get your hands on $100,000. And so I thought it'd be interesting to kind of share my story on how I saved my first $100,000 and what I did with that money. So with that, let's get started. Hello, my name is Sarah. I'm a computer engineer, and this channel goes over all things engineering, personal finance, and personal development. So I'm going to start off from the very beginning when I got my first paycheck ever. And that was when I was a sophomore in college and I was working at Planet Fitness. So I was getting paid minimum wage and I'd only worked there for 5 weeks. But I think in total I got about $600. And so of those $600, I just had it sitting there in my account. At the time, I was living with my parents, so they were the ones that were covering rent, and the deal was that they would cover rent until I graduated. I also didn't have a car, so I didn't have any sort of car insurance that I had to pay or car bills. The original plan was to be at Planet Fitness until I graduated or I found a better opportunity. So after those 5 weeks, I actually did get that opportunity. So starting August of 2017, which is my junior year of college, I was working as an engineering intern and I was getting paid $24 an hour and I was working 10 hours a week. So that was a huge boost in my income. I still wasn't aware of investing or saving or anything like that, so I just kind of stocked up the money into my checking account because at the very least I knew that having money was better than not having money. I honestly didn't do anything with it or I didn't spend it because first off, I didn't have time to spend it. I was either running from class to class, studying, doing homework, or doing my internship. But after the first 2 semesters of my junior year, I started to work full-time as an intern during that summer, so summer of 2018. I honestly hated going to work full-time. I couldn't stand getting there at 9 or 9:30. Even then it wasn't quite full-time. It was about 35 hours a week and it was still tough for me. And that's when I made a realization, I'm going to be having to do this for the next 40 years. I don't want to be doing this for the next 40 years. Is there any way out? And that's when I found out about FIRE, or Financial Independence Retire Early, and how to invest your money and what to do with it. I didn't spend anything to begin with, but I was even more aware now of how much I spent and where I spent it. So I cut off any sort of drinks that I was having. I had Starbucks almost every day. I cut that off. I would have Subway salads almost every day. I cut that off and I would make my own lunch. So all of those things were in order for me to save as much money as I could and then invest it. However, I also heard about this person named who talked about day trading and how you can make money that way. And of course, I know now that that was a terrible idea, terrible idea, because that's just gambling. But at the time, I didn't know that. I honestly thought that this was the way to make money without having to work. For the next 5-6 months, I was putting that money into stocks and I was selling it that same day, or I was putting it into small stocks and selling it that same day, trying to make any sort of profit or income. During those 5 or 6 months, it was very stressful because it was like watching a little ticker every second or every minute of the day just to see when it goes up and then sell when it goes up or sell at a certain point. And it was very stressful. It wasn't until December or January of the next year, so of 2019, that I realized, wait a second, the stock market overall has been going up these past 5 months. My account has actually stayed the same. And at the time I had about $6,000 in my Fidelity account, but that didn't change over the past 5 months. And I thought to myself, if I had just put this all in a total stock market index fund, it would have been up. It would have been up a couple $1,000s. So I was like, wait a second, maybe this Ricky guy isn't all he says he is. And that's where I started reading reputable books about financing and investing. So J.L. Collins, John C. Bogle, Christy Shen. I also listened to many others, but the title of books that I've read were Millionaire Next Door, Playing with Fire, Financial Freedom, Quit Like a Millionaire, and The Little Book of Common Sense Investing. Those were the main ones that I know and I remember. And that's where I learned everything I could about investing and in financing. And that's where I learned about the full 4% rule and saving as much as you could. So as I was learning and reading those books, I was slowly stocking money away. And that's when I learned about index funds, the type of index funds, the expense ratios, and I started investing in stocks like BTI, VU, and Bug. I did also have some stock in Microsoft as well as Apple. However, those were more of like a long-term investment. And so every year that went by, I got a salary increase. So when I was a junior, I was getting paid 24. When I was a senior, I was getting paid 25. And then I went for my master's degree. So from 2019 to 2020, I was getting my master's degree in computer engineering, and that bumped up my salary by $3. So I was getting paid $28 an hour. From what I last remember, right before COVID hit, it was Easter, and I looked at my account in Fidelity and I had $38,000 in that account. So I was really happy about that because there was like a good day in the stock market. So I got a little boost of like a couple grand, and that's why I remember it so well. But I was about $38,000 there. And then COVID hit. Luckily, I was able to get a position at the same company that I was an intern for the past 3 years. And the base salary was $100,000. Every time I got a paycheck, I would stock it all away. And in the meantime, I was still living with my parents. But since I finished my degree, I started paying rent, and it was about $500, so it wasn't too bad. I did purchase a Honda Civic hatchback in 2017, right after I got my first internship. So I was paying roughly $400 a month for that, but I think I only had to pay maybe 1 or 2 more years before it was fully paid off. So I was continuing to pay about $1,000 a month towards the rent and then my car. I continued to limit the amount of money I spent, and I think in total I spent maybe $200 or $250 on food and takeout. And by then I knew about 401ks, so I would max out my 401k, and I would also put in as much money as I could in my Fidelity account. Then the next 6-7 months, I stocked up another $60,000, $70,000 worth. So by the beginning of 2021, I hit the $100,000 mark. And I was just being consistent with what I had done for the past 3 years when I started as an intern. Just limited the amount of money that I spent, was just mindful of how much I spent. And again, I know a lot of people aren't able to do this because they might have to pay rent. So I do understand that, and it may take you a bit longer if you're in that situation. But yeah, the key takeaways I'd say are to be consistent, follow a plan, be disciplined about it, and take advantage of any opportunities you have, whether it's getting an internship as an engineer or living with your parents for the next 3-4 years as you get your degree. Taking advantage of those opportunities is something that I think makes a huge difference when it comes to saving that first $100,000. If there's anything else I missed or any other questions that you may have, please leave it in the comment section down below. And if you found this video helpful or informative, please give it a like. And yeah, if you like to see similar videos, please subscribe, and thank you for watching. Bye.